I sold my son's prized collection to teach him a lesson. Turns out he was innocent. I've always prided myself on being the type of mom who knows when her kids are lying. Not in an overbearing way, at least I like to think so, but in that parental instinct way. I can usually tell when Alex, my 14-year-old, is hiding something. He's a good kid, responsible for the most part, but like any teenager, he pushes boundaries. And Lily, my 9-year-old, is too young to be subtle about her fibs. Her guilty face gives her away instantly. Mark, my husband, jokes that I could have been a detective. I believe that too, until all of this happened. It started about 6 weeks ago. I went into my desk drawer to grab a little cash for groceries. I keep a just-in-case stash, usually a couple $100s in small bills, in a locked drawer in our home office. The key is in the same place it's always been, tucked in a little ceramic cup with pens and paper clips. It's not like I hide it with a laser security system. It's just for convenience. When I counted the bills, I was short by $40. I assumed I'd just forgotten that I'd taken it earlier in the week. Maybe I'd given Alex some for lunch money, or maybe I'd used it for gas. I didn't dwell on it. A week later, I went back for more cash, and this time $60 was missing. That's when my stomach dropped. I knew I hadn't taken it, and the only people who could have were me, Mark, or the kids. Mark's not the type to take money without telling me, and Lily, well, she wouldn't even know where to start, which left Alex. I didn't immediately confront him. Instead, I kept my eyes open, and that's when I noticed other small things. Fast food, wrappers in his trash, receipts for $20 or $30 meals from burger joints. One receipt was dated the exact day the last 60 went missing. I remembered him saying he was hanging out at the park with friends that day. Now I pictured him treating everyone to fries and shakes with money he'd swiped from my desk. It wasn't just the food. Alex had been obsessed with baseball cards for the past year. He'd saved up for rare ones, spent hours researching trades online, joined forums. I'd told him from the start, if he wanted expensive cards, he'd have to earn the money himself. And yet somehow, his collection seemed to be growing faster than I thought his allowance and odd jobs could cover. The picture in my head was clear. He was stealing money to fund his junk food runs and buy cards. I told Mark about it that night. He didn't dismiss me, but he urged caution. You don't know the whole story, he said. Just talk to him before you do anything drastic. I told him I did know the whole story, so I decided to teach Alex a lesson he wouldn't forget. Taking away his phone or grounding him would be temporary, but if I took away the thing he loved most, his prized baseball card collection, it would hit deeper. The next day, while he was at a friend's house, I went into his room. His binders of cards were stacked neatly on his desk, each one labeled. I flipped through them. They were organized meticulously. Cards in protective sleeves, little handwritten notes with the date and place he'd gotten them, and even small personal comments. It was obvious how much they meant to him, but I told myself that was the point. If he valued them, losing them would make the lesson stick. I boxed the entire collection, photographed every page for my records, and listed it on a collectibles forum. By morning, I had an offer, $650 from a man named Gary who collected and resold cards. We met at a coffee shop. The transaction was quick, and I went home with an envelope full of cash. When Alex got home that evening, I was waiting. He walked into his room, then seconds later came stomping into the kitchen. Where are my cards? He demanded. I didn't sugarcoat it. I sold them. His face went pale, then red. You what? You've been stealing money from my desk, I said. I'm not going to let you fund your collection with stolen cash. Actions have consequences, Alex. His mouth fell open. I didn't take your money. Alex, I found fast food receipts. On the same days money went missing. Do you think I'm stupid? His voice cracked. Those weren't even mine. He stopped, shaking his head. You didn't even ask me. You just sold everything. I expected him to get angry. Instead, he looked like I'd punched him in the chest. He went upstairs without another word. For the next few days, he barely spoke to me. He didn't yell or slam doors. He just avoided me completely. Mark told me I might have gone too far, but I was still convinced I was right. That is, until Lily cracked the case. One night, I was tucking her into bed when she whispered, Mom? Are you still mad at Alex? I said I wasn't mad, just disappointed. She hesitated, then said, I think I know about the money. My heart skipped. What do you mean? She told me she'd seen her cousin Tyler, my sister's 16-year-old son, sneaking into the office a couple of times when he was over. Tyler had been coming around a lot lately after school, saying he wanted to hang out with Alex, but sometimes Alex wasn't even home yet. Lily thought he'd been taking money, but she hadn't wanted to get him in trouble. My stomach sank. Tyler was a good kid in my eyes, but his family had been struggling. His dad lost his job last year, and I'd noticed him wearing the same worn-out shoes for months. Still, stealing was stealing. I called my sister, explained what Lily had said, and after a long silence, she admitted Tyler had been buying lunch for himself and a couple of friends because he was embarrassed about bringing free cafeteria food from school. She started crying, saying she didn't know how to fix things. I hung up feeling like the worst mother on the planet. I hadn't just accused my son of something he didn't do. I'd sold the one thing he loved most because I refused to believe he could be innocent. I went straight to Alex's room. He was lying on his bed, scrolling on his phone. Alex, I started, but my throat closed. He looked at me blankly. I'm so sorry, I managed. It wasn't you. Tyler took the money. I should have trusted you. His jaw tightened. You didn't even ask me. You just assumed the worst. You've been telling me my whole life that trust goes both ways. Guess it doesn't. That cut deeper than I expected. I told him I'd get his cards back, but when I contacted Gary, he'd already sold most of them to other collectors. A few he still had, and he agreed to sell them back at a markup. I paid it without hesitation, but it was only a fraction of Alex's original collection. Over the next month, I worked to replace the rest. I scoured online auctions, drove hours to swap meets, even traded with strangers. I didn't rebuild it perfectly. Some cards were irreplaceable, but slowly, his binders started to look fuller. It wasn't just about the cards. I knew I had to earn his trust back. I started listening more, asking instead of assuming. We began doing small projects together again, weekend card hunts, late-night talks. One night, about 2 months later, he quietly said, "Thanks for trying, Mom." That's when I knew we were healing. The final twist came last week. Gary, the original buyer, sent me a package. Inside was one of Alex's rarest cards, the one he'd been saving for months to buy before all this happened. With it was a note. I could tell this collection meant a lot to your kid. Thought he should have this one back. When I gave it to Alex, he actually smiled, really smiled for the first time in weeks. And for the first time in months, I felt like maybe I wasn't the worst mom in the world after all.